What was the thought process of just going one more time? Was it more about like taking care of sponsors,
no.
or was it like individually, like you need to put some space between you and other people that might be trying to break your record? Or?
No, so I mean the record at the time was four wins, and then the guy who did that, Rich, he took second place and then 4 consecutive wins.
Right.
So I had 2 second places and then 4 consecutive wins. And so I was like, okay, I've got 6. Nobody else has 6 podiums in a row. I got four wins. I have the margin of victory. I had the records. And then it was O'Keefe was just like, nobody gives a shit about second place. Like,
The Black Rifle Podcast starts now.
So when you say you retired, what does that mean?
Just retired from competing.
Right.
So sorry, I got something in there. For 7 years competed in CrossFit. Like my competition was the CrossFit Games.
Right.
And I took second place twice in 2014, 2015, and then I won 5 consecutive times. And after the 5th, I was after the 4th, I was done. I got talked back into coming back for a 5th.
Who talked you into the 5th?
O'Keefe, my manager, agent, best friend. It was just like, I remember I was sitting on the dock the week after the games, and he called me, and I was just like, as my coach called me, and he was like, hey, what's the plan? Get back into training. I was like, I'm done, dude. And he was like, oh, okay. And then like 5 minutes later, I get a call from O'Keefe, and so clearly my coach had called O'Keefe and was like, yo, Matt's retiring. Like, you got to talk to this guy. And so O'Keefe was like, hey, man, I think you need to go one more time.
Right.
So
what was the thought process of just going one more time? Was it more about like taking care of sponsors,
no.
or was it like individually, like you need to put some space between you and other people that might be trying to break your record? Or
no, so I mean the record at the time was 4 wins, and then the guy who did that, Rich, he took second place and then 4 consecutive wins.
Right.
So I had 2 second places and then 4 consecutive wins. And so I was like, okay, I've got 6. Nobody else has 6 podiums in a row. I got the four wins. I have the margin of victory. I had the records. And then it was O'Keefe was just like,
one more.
Nobody gives a shit about second place. Like
nobody cares.
Yeah, he was like, you need that 5th goal. And he said he was like, I think when you're 40, even if you come back and you miss the 5th win, he's like, I think if you don't even take a whack at it, you'll regret it.
Yeah.
And absolutely. But then, I pushed through, and then that season got extended months. And it kept getting extended. Like we would get up to like competition's supposed to be 2 weeks away.
Right.
And then because of COVID, they're like, hey, we're pushing the competition back another 6 weeks. Well, then for me, I'm sitting there like, well, fuck. I can't just erase that training I did.
Right.
And if now I try to push through 6 more weeks, I'm going to be overtrained. And that happened 2 or 3 times in the last season. So like by the end of it, I'm like, dude, this is supposed to be an 8-month season. Now I'm 14 months in, and now it still might not even happen.
Right.
And so you're sitting there like, Jesus Christ, like if this thing gets canceled, like, am I going to do a whole nother year of this? Like I wanted to be out a year ago.
Right.
And now this season's already extended long. And so, by the time, thankfully the competition happened, everything went well. Props. Thank you. Props to CrossFit. Like, I don't think anyone would have, criticized them too much if they had to cancel. Like they jumped through hoops to make sure that competition happened, and then it did. And, for me, I was just like, I'm tired of putting other things on hold. My life was incredibly simple. Wake up, eat, sleep, train. But, I wasn't traveling. I was missing a lot of other stuff. I was putting, different business ventures on hold because I was a competitor. So all I did was compete. I knew that's what I was there for. And so that's what I did. And then the day I retired, it was like, all right, let's start kicking off with everything else. So got a bunch of...
What'd you do? Like, I mean, what do you do? What's like the thing that you were missing where you're like, this is the thing that I've punted on this multiple times. I want to do this thing.
Yeah.
I want to like go on like a vacation or whatever it is.
I mean, not even so much vacation. It was just like work in different avenues. You know, I never felt like I was being challenged. You know, like obviously the training I was doing was very tough, but it's very repetitive. And like, I got a double major, double minor and never used it. You know, like I got one degree in mechanical engineering and another one in business.
Right.
And then minors were in math and something else. I don't remember. But yeah, you know, it was just like the days were repetitive, you know, and like.
Were you just bored?
Sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, like for, you know, 8 months out of the year, 6 months out of the year, you're like, no, I'm not traveling at all. The food's the same, schedule's the same. You know, there's fun times, don't get me wrong, but your day to day it's a grind. So, you know, I had some cool opportunities. You know, I got to open a supplement company with some friends, wrote a book, launched HWPO Training. So it's like, these are all these things that I've been wanting to do this whole time. But I had one interaction early in my career where I think I had won the games one time. And then I was trying to do the responsible thing. I was going to buy like a duplex or a triplex, live in one unit, rent out the other. I was like, no, this is the right thing to do. And my accountant was like, what the fuck are you doing? He was like, if everything goes right and they pay their rent on time, they're the best neighbors ever, how much do you make? And I was like, I don't know, 24, 36 grand, whatever it came out to. And he was like, if everything goes wrong and they keep you up every night, they're terrible.
Yeah.
How much is it going to cost you? Like if it costs you losing the games because you're distracted. And I was like, I lose a lot. And he was exactly. He was like, do nothing but compete. Do nothing but compete. Like that's how you make your money. That's how, you know, you're building your resume. Go do that. And so I just took that to heart. And I was like, all right, until I retire, I do nothing but this.
That's actually really simple and sage advice for a lot of people because I have similar. That's actually way better and more clear.
Yeah.
But I have very, very simple advice for a lot of people. It's like triage your time.
Yeah.
And then what you do is you concentrate on the things that are directly yielding you a positive ROI, return on your investment, and then you chop out all the white noise.
Yeah.
Like, there you go. So if you're spending time on things that are returning a negative, meaning negative energy, negative income, negative, kill all that stuff.
That's the biggest thing that like, you know, you just like, you want to be tough and like, nope, like I don't care what's going on around me. I'm going to get this done. No, negative energy. That shit builds up. It's like, cut it out. Like for me, the best example is that when I first started. So I was in school full time. You know, I'm carrying crazy course load, taking a full course load during the summers. Cause I'm just like,
where are you going to school?
UVM, University of Vermont.
Yeah.
But like I was hustling, you know, I wanted to get the credits done as quickly as I could. And, you know, I would scavenge up 8 other students that would take a summer course so we could just plow through the whole summer and try to get our degrees done quickly. Yeah. Fuck, I forgot where I was going with that, but I mean, but like that, like cutting out the fat. Oh yeah, that's where I'm going with it.
Like
I was in school full time, carrying typically between 18 and 20 credit hours. I was training, you know, to go to the games, and then that summer I had a summer internship at an aerospace company.
Which one?
At the time, it was called UTC. Formerly, what was it? Goodrich.
Okay.
Yeah, the big thing is like land-air defense missiles.
Right.
So, you know, as a young kid, college internship, this is like the best one in the area.
Yeah.
I'm fucking psyched on it. And then it was like sitting behind a desk and doing government contracts. Yeah. And you're like, fuck this.
Fuck that.
But anyways, like, you know, I was juggling all these things and I knew I wanted a college degree. I knew I wanted to compete in CrossFit because it was a good side hustle. And so I just cut everything out of my day. You know, I'm leaving the house at 6 a.m. I have, you know, gym bag packed, school bag packed. I'm getting home at 8 p.m. And it's just like, you're going straight to school.
Right.
In between classes, like I got 2 hours. I rip to the gym, you know, no pleasantries, no saying hi to anyone.
Right.
Very little warmth. And it's like, no, if you want to get the shit done, get the shit done. But it's like how much time you can lose just the bullshit in your day. Little conversations here, getting worried about little things there, like things that don't matter. And I'm glad I put myself in that situation 10 years ago because I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, the day's plenty long.
Right.
Like, yeah, I just need to quit fucking around.
Right. Yeah, the day's plenty long. You just need to like chop out all the white noise. Yeah.
Yep.
And I feel it. I feel it all the time because I feel it in the business circumstance and the context. If I come into the office, I get hardly anything done. because it's like, and by the way, I plan my day around that.
Yeah.
So it's like I come into the office to have conversations with multiple people that ultimately eat up most of my day. If I have a packed day of like meetings where I have to get a bunch of shit done, I can't come into the office.
Or just like duck in the back door.
Yeah. Well, you and I talked like, I mean, obviously we've known each other for like 10 years now. And like, I remember distinctly when we first met, you were talking about how you used to eat like Chinese food out of like the
food truck behind the library, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And you were training for the games, right?
Yeah.
And you're like eating like shit.
I mean, for me, it was just like, that's what I had access to.
Right.
You know, I was living in my parents' basement in a shitty apartment that had no windows. I was driving a $300 like
Cutlass or
like
some shit.
Oldsmobile, 1988 Oldsmobile. You know, half my wardrobe was from Costco. Like I didn't give a fuck. If supplements were free, they were for me. Like I didn't fucking care. I just wanted to go there and do my thing. And none of the other stuff mattered. And I knew like, hey, if I do this stuff well, the other stuff will come. You know, it'll come here eventually. And I try not to skip any steps. You know, like just grind. You know, and I found, I don't know, like it became motivational to me of like being in the shitty situation and still winning. And like, you know, you find the silver lining. Like my old home gym had like 5'11" ceiling, so I couldn't go overhead. Had no windows, had no air vents coming in. So it was about as shitty got. And it was it was like 200 square feet, the whole home gym. You know, and that's where I trained every day. And then I won the games, and I was like, all right, if I can build a fucking champion there, like what's going to happen when I get a better home gym? And so then when I moved to Tennessee, my home gym got bigger in size. And then it went from like the dusty, grimy, dark, hot room to the perfectly manicured, perfectly clean. Like I have every piece of equipment. I have enough height. I can do everything. And so part of me was like, ooh, am I going to lose my edge? But then I just like switched my brain. I'm like, no, now if I built a champion in this shitty room, like imagine what I can do in this lab, you know? And so it's just kind of always finding those silver linings and just keep that ball rolling.
Yeah. What's that like when you go from being in this like shitty home gym, 200 square foot to, okay, now you're the champion. I mean, you're the fittest guy in the world. Like, how do you make that distinct change where you're like, I mean, does it go to your head a little bit? Does it kind of like get to you where you're like, your ego starts to blow up, or like who's keeping you in check?
I mean, nothing really changed for me.
Nothing.
You know, I think I won the games twice before I moved out of my mom's basement.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, because like for me, it was like, no, I'm here to compete. I don't give a shit about anything else. So, you know, for me, it was like having the nice house.
It's a very monastic life almost, right?
But once again, like I used it to my benefit too.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it was like I started dating Sammy. You know, I met her and like...
Where did you guys meet?
So we got introduced by some mutual friends. And then, you know, we talked like text, phone calls for a while. And then we met out at the games.
Okay.
That was our first time like actually hanging out. And it was immediately like, oh, I'm going to marry this woman.
Really?
Yeah, like immediately.
No way. Like day 1 hour one? Are you saying... Seriously?
So I actually... This is kind of weird. I actually saw Sammy like 2 years before I ever met her or knew her name. I saw her in a crowd, and like
fucking way.
I was checking in for a competition. She was working the check-in. She worked at Reebok at the time, and I saw her for like 2 seconds, and she was walking away. Like I saw her talk to somebody and then walk away, and I just went like, "That's it right there." And so like I didn't know her name, didn't know anything about her, and so there was one guy I actually went through every single one of his Facebook friends looking for this girl. And he had like 9,000 Facebook friends.
Right.
I'd go back every 6 months to look at his friends to see if I could find this girl. And then I got introduced to her. And then like the first night that we hung out, we stayed up talking till probably 7 a.m. just eating cereal, just like eating Reese Puffs on the bed, chatting. So I knew immediately. But then another big thing too, when, you know, we're getting to know each other, she's like, you know, where do you live? You know, all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, like, let's see what happens. I'm like, I live in my mom's basement. I live in my parents' basement.
It's awesome.
And she was just
awesome.
like, cool. Like, I bet you save money down there. And I was like, I fucking do.
Yeah.
And then it's like when she quit her job, she was living in Boston and then moved up to Vermont into that apartment with me. I was like, this is a real one. She's not dating me because I'm good at CrossFit. She's not dating me because I'm whatever. I'm like, you know, I'm living in a shitty apartment and driving a shitty car and I do nothing. I just train. And she was there for it. So, you know, there's silver linings of like, for me, like if you're dating and like you're well off or you've had some accomplishments, like, are you dating me because of my status or like somebody's super wealthy? It's like, are they dating me because of my money?
Right.
For me, there is no question.
Yeah. When you, in your life, when you look at that, you have basically your left and right limits are pretty narrow. Like you can't, I'm not going to put words in your mouth here, but I'm just envisioning like from a diet and then nutrition perspective. It's not like you're crushing down, you know, a couple little Caesars every night, you know, like you're ratcheting in your nutrition.
Yeah,
so after the first one, now you start to work on like nutrition and form. Do you start like tightening up?
So I mean, really like kind of really beneficial thing was when Sammy quit her job, moved to Vermont, you know, she didn't have a job lined up or anything. And for me, I was like, I know you not having a job is going to bug you more than it's going to bug me.
Right.
Like in terms of like, if we have to pay your bills or whatever it is for a little while. And then, so in that little bit of a gap, she just started cooking. You know, she was cooking a lot for me, and then she started an Instagram literally as like a digital menu for me.
Right.
Where she'd be like, hey, what do you want for dinner tonight? And I'm so tired. I'm like, oh, God, I don't know. I don't have the energy to think about it. I would just pull up that Instagram page and go through and be like, oh, chili, cool. And then she would go make chili. And for her, it's like the whole recipe was written out, all the instructions. So it's kind of like, I don't know, cutting out the decision making. And then that page got some traction. You know, she got like, I think she's up towards like 500,000 followers.
Feeding the Frasers, right?
Feeding the Frasers. Turned into a whole business for her. She wrote a cookbook.
No way. Seriously?
But like, so for me, I'm like, my wife stays home all day and she's a professional cook at this point.
Yeah.
And so she's just cooking all day. So, you know, it really, really worked out for me of like dialing in my nutrition because I went from eating Chinese food and pizza because those are the two food trucks behind the library. So that's what I eat. Right. Pepperoni pizza was $1 a slice and General Tao's chicken was a $5 combo. So it was an easy day. And then, you know, started playing with my nutrition a little bit, saw the better results from it and just went like, okay, let's dial this in. So, you know, got like the professional testing done. So I'm not taking guesswork at my calorie intake and all that shit.
What kind of tests I'm just wondering, like, at your level, like, what kind of tests were you doing from like nutrition and supplements? Are you like doing your blood work? Are you going through? Yeah.
So I did it. Did two different tests. One was on a stationary bike. One was on a treadmill.
Right.
And it's basically you just go until you fail.
Okay.
So like the classic, you're on a treadmill, gas mask on, like you got all the wires hanging off you, and you start running at 4 miles an hour, whatever it is. And then every 3 minutes or every 5 minutes, they would either increase the speed or increase the incline until failure.
Okay.
And then every 3 minutes, the doctor, he's taking my hand, like headlocking my hand to draw blood.
Okay.
So I'm still running. Like I'm 40 minutes in, every 3 minutes, he's pricking my finger, drawing blood. They're regulating the oxygen in, out. I don't know.
What do you learn from that though? Like,
so then, we basically sit down in a room. He shows me like my lactate levels and all that shit. And his words to me were like, you should have picked any other fucking sport. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, your lactic threshold is through the roof. Like this is banana numbers. And he's like, you're beating like most like professional soccer players, like all that. And he's like, lactic threshold in soccer is like the #1 marker. And he's like, you are so high. He was like, you should have played a sport that paid. I was like, sick, thanks.
Yeah,
man.
thanks.
So I was like, okay, well, how do I get better? And, that's where he's like, that's when he's telling me like, all right, based on that output, this is how many calories a day you need to be taking in. This is how you take them in, like all that stuff. And from that test, he was like, you need to be taking in 9,700 calories a day.
Shut the fuck up.
And I
9,700?
9,700. And I like looked at him. I was like, bro, look at me. I was like, I can't fit 10,000 calories. I'm like, dude, I'm 5'6".
Yeah.
Like, that ain't going to fucking happen. And he was just like, take it in this liquid. And so I just started drinking. Like, I took in a lot of my calories through Snickers bars and like condensed Gatorade. Like it was even like Gatorade in the bottle wasn't dense enough. Like I had to buy the bucket of Gatorade powder and just put like a gallon scoop in like an 8-ounce shaker and just it was gross. Like I'm lucky, knowing what I know now, I'm lucky I didn't get diabetes.
Yeah, I know. Like that's the first thing I'm thinking. Like, how do you consume 10,000 calories a day? Why? Like, why do you need that many? Is it because I
was just training
training
so much. Like the volume of training was just because you don't know what you're competing in. You don't know what the events are.
Right. So what does training day look like from the time that you get up to the time that you go to bed? And I mean, I'm assuming like there's a few things I know, and I'm assuming like you got to keep a lot of this pretty secret too, right? You don't. Like, you don't want you didn't want that getting out at the time.
Yeah, like I knew I trained differently than a lot of people, so I was definitely not secretive, but just quiet. You know, I never posted PRs on my social media like that.
Right,
it's so silly to me. I'm like, why would you tell your competitors
what your times are? Yeah.
You're giving them something to beat. You're giving them something to chase. So like my training fluctuated through the season. There's like 3 stages: open, which is an online competition; regionals or semifinals, which is in person, and then the last stage is the CrossFit Games. And each stage they take like the top, couple percent, move on to the next stage. So like leading like 2 months before the games was my heaviest training, and that would be up at 8. Food, body work immediately, like a huge breakfast. Like
what's that look like?
It'd be like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 eggs, 4 strips of bacon, bagel, cream cheese, bowl of oatmeal and fruit, a couple cups of coffee, and then like a giant thing of water.
How do you train after you've had that?
So like I would have that, try to wait, an hour to 90 minutes before going in. I'd have like my pre-workout shakes before getting on my drive to the gym. At the gym, I would have these little things. They're called fuel for fires. They're basically like baby food in packets, but super convenient. You just they're super durable packaging. So I always just kept like 6 of them in my bag. Fruit gummies, Snickers bars, all that shit. And then a protein shake and a carb shake for protein. Like I would sip on them during training. Get home, I would text Sammy on my way home. It was like a 10-minute drive. Like, hey, on my way home. She would have lunch ready for when I got home. I would get inside. There'd be a carpet like about this big, and I had like my little rack of all my recovery tools, so like scrapers, cups, lacrosse ball, all that shit.
Yeah.
And I would just lay on the ground on a PVC pipe, like roll out for a little bit. Sammy would put the bowl of food down in front of me, scarf it down, usually lay down right where I was, sleep for a little bit, get up, eat again, go back to the gym, do that whole process again. On my way home, text Sammy, have dinner ready for when I get home, do all my recovery work, sauna, ice bath.
Right.
We would, for years, a fixture in our living room was a massage table. So Sammy would come into my PT sessions. The people would teach her how to do the manipulations, body work, all that stuff. So I would usually get like 30 minutes to an hour of body work from Sammy at night, like just laying on the table. She'd be digging in. Then, usually 10, 11 p.m., have dinner number 2, go to bed.
And then you get 10 to 12 hours of sleep, right?
Yeah, I'd usually, minimum 10. Yeah, I'd say, 9, 10, somewhere in there. But yeah, wake up, do it all over again. Thursdays were road bike and swim. Mondays were off days.
So Monday was your off day. You're working out,
So Mondays it was, Sundays the gym was empty. Yeah. So I loved training when the gym was empty. I had access to everything on my own schedule. And then the gun range was always empty on Mondays. So when I lived in Vermont, that's how that started.
Right.
And then it turned into like, oh, well, why would I take Sundays off? We always compete on Sundays. And so then I would just after that, I would just stay on the competition schedule year round. So like I didn't have to change my rest days, a day before a competition or something. It was just always ready to go.
What was the thing that you always, was there an exercise or something that you always look forward to that you're like, this is my thing? Like this is the thing that you love. Where you're like, this is the fucking one. Yeah,
there were definitely a couple things, like there were certain workouts that would come up. So, like when it came to the running events, I'm not the best runner. When it came to the weightlifting, I'm not the best weightlifter. But if you put those two together, like if you did a weightlifting movement with any other movement that didn't favor a strong guy, that's where I really felt like I could hit another level. So on the workouts where it was a good mix of like gymnastics and weightlifting, conditioning, like a well-rounded workout, that's where I really like felt that I could take off. But then also because I had, so I competed in Olympic weightlifting for 10 years before I started CrossFit. So like my Olympic weightlifting, snatch and clean and jerk was just, I didn't have to think about it.
Right.
It was not effortless, but like with the light weights, my movement never changed. Didn't matter how tired I was, my body only knew how to lift the weight one way.
Right.
So like a lot of the other guys, you'd see them, if it's 10 round workout and round 7, 8, 9, their technique's starting to change. They're using too much shoulders, whatever it is. They're becoming more and more inefficient as they're getting fatigued.
Right.
So it's just insult to injury. Whereas I felt like my movements stayed the same. And that was intentional. Like I practiced that. Like, very rarely would I practice anything fresh. Like I would always like go on the fan bike, go on the rower, get as winded as I could, and then practice something.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like I heard, and I have no idea if there's any truth to this or whatever. I heard this story one time, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. I think it was Anderson Silva. He's a Brazilian fighter.
Oh yeah.
I heard a story that in training, like the reason he was so good, even when he was like bell was rung,
that's amazing,
was because he practiced that.
Yeah.
So he would go to his corner and like somebody would sit there punching him in the head until he was like a little bit dizzy or concussed, and then he would go into practice. And it's like, well, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like, why are we practicing lifts fresh?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, never did we lift a weight in competition fresh.
Right.
We're always the max lifts come on day 3 of the competition. So what do I give a fuck that I clean and jerk 400 when I'm fresh? What do you do when you're tired?
Yeah.
So that's actually how that started. I was like, oh, he's so good even when he's about to lose because he's practiced that. And so I just took that to heart. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start just getting as tired as possible before I do most of my shit.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense because obviously you're going to you're going to hit the wall and then you got to move past it.
Yeah.
Like, I think the question I was like really looking at is like, what's your thing? Like when you look at like psychologically, when you're like, dude, I'm so stoked for this because you love it. Like everybody has their thing, right? Yeah. It's like, dude, I love like squats. Yeah. For instance, like squats are like, I love fucking squat day. It's like my favorite day of the week. Yeah. Fucking my favorite.
Yeah. I know for me, it was like thrusters were one that I'm like, if we're doing thrusters and it's not a 1 rep max, these are easier for me than they are for anyone else.
Yeah.
It just replicated what I had done so much. Like I just move efficiently. I know how to move my body around the bar because that's all I've done for 20 years. And something like pistols, 1-legged squats. Once again, just my Olympic weight limit. It's like I can do 1 foot, 2 foot. I can just hammer those out. Thrusters, pistol handstand push-ups.
Yeah.
It's like anytime we'd have a workout where it's like, heavy weights and handstand push-ups, like all the other guys that are good at the heavy weights typically weigh 220. So now when they kick upside down and have to move their body weight, a little bit more difficult.
Right.
Then, I'm able to come in, I'm like a lot smaller than these guys and I got nice short arms, so I'm going to just pop them out.
Smash them. Mm-hmm. What do you think of like, did you ever do like yoga or anything like that for flexibility, or was it more of like, what was your flexibility routine look like?
So, always doing body work. Near the end of my career, I stopped stretching as much, like static stretching. So I started working a lot with TB12.
What's that?
Tom Brady's company.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the guy who does Tom Brady's body work did my body work for a couple of years. And like, if you ever wonder how Tom was playing in his 40s, it's that man, Alex Guerrero.
Right.
The best body worker in the fucking world, hands down. Like, I had before my last games, I couldn't lift a barbell for weeks. Like my back was so fucked up, like tremendously fucked up. Couldn't clean and jerk 135 pounds, and was going into Nashville trying to get. They were doing like PRP on me, and they're like, all right, you're 6 to 8 weeks till you're fully recovered. I'm like, dude, I compete in 5. Like that's a no-go. And I called Guerrero and I was like, yo, man, I need your fucking help. And he was like, sorry, man, I'm in Tampa. Like, I was like, all right, if I come to Tampa, and he's like, I'm with Tommy every day till 3. I was like, all right, I'll see you at 3:30 tomorrow. And then Sammy and I went down. So I don't think I had lifted any barbells for a couple of weeks at this point. And he put me on the table for like 90 minutes. Like I fainted a couple times. Like the pain was.
Are you serious?
He was working on my back through my abdomen.
Right.
Most excruciating thing. And then like we finish and he was like, grab your shoes, you're going to the gym. You're going to max out your squat.
No fucking way.
I was like, bro, I haven't lifted over 135 in, a month. And he was like, who gives a fuck? He's like, if you hurt it again, I'm here. I'll fix it again. He's like, you're fixed. And I was like, okay. And went to the gym, maxed out my back squat. I was like, okay, we're good.
So what was going on?
It was my, I think it was my QL was just like so jacked up. It felt like it was like dislocating a rib. So it was just like any motion. I thought I had a broken rib.
Yeah.
For the first couple of weeks. And when I talked to Alex, he was like, does it hurt when you breathe? I was like, no. He's like, it's not fucking broken. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Why wouldn't it release? Do you have any idea why it wouldn't release?
I think just overuse. I mean, that time of season, and that was a season that kept getting pushed out. And so typically, like the longest like intense training cycle I'll do is like 8 weeks. You know? Like 6 weeks with a couple taper weeks in there, deload weeks. And that season, it was like I would do the 6 weeks and then find out, hey, competition's push back 6 more. All right, 6 more weeks of training. All right, push back 2 more. It just kept getting pushed back. So it was just the load on the body was just so fucking much. That just kind of was like, we're out.
Yeah, because it's fascinating to me because I deal with back, just back pain in general, right? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like I've had like plenty of work done, but I'm like, I feel better for like 2 or 3 days afterwards, and then it's like, okay, whatever, move on with my life because it's like I can't fucking get a massage every day. Yeah. Like that's crazy. Yeah, like it's crazy. Yeah, like you can't get work done every day, and like it's not attainable for people. Yeah, so it's like how do you my struggle is like how do you maintain a flexibility with like a pain-free lifestyle without like
for me it comes down to just pliability. So that's what I got from Guerrero was he was like big on no static stretching, especially pre-workout. Interesting. He was like, if your muscle's cold, you're just like yanking on it. And if you have a knot, you're just yanking on it, adding more pressure. So he's like, if you have a knot, like that's going to be the highest pressure point. That's where it's all going to concentrate. So that's why like with tennis elbow and stuff, they'll put just a little band on and it just, if your pressure point's here, it just shifts it down a little bit. Right. So, that was his big thing. So I just did a lot of pliability, like rolling out on PVC, lacrosse balls, and lengthening the ligament as you're massaging it. Right. So like if you're like massaging your quad, you start with your leg extended. So your quad's as short as possible. Yeah. And then massage it as you bring your heel under. So as you're lengthening it and putting it through its natural range of motion, you're, taking away that knot. Yeah. And like, this is all shit that I've been told and then I ran with it. Like I was told it, I tried it. I was like, that worked for me. I'm going to run with that shit forever. So, getting the massages pre-workout, like Tom gets 3 of those body sessions a day when he was playing before every practice. Holy shit. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. That's how you can take that makes sense. You're so pliable. Yeah. I remember like it was after Alex did the work on me, we went to the gym, I maxed out my squat and he was like, all right, just go do a workout. Like go do some other stuff. So I did a whole workout and I think I was doing like an email. So every minute on the minute. So like we could have little discussions through and he kept being like, what you do? Oh, so easy. What you do is so easy, so easy. After a while, I was like, do you mean simple? And he was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I meant simple. He's like, yeah, the bar's not tackling you from the side and trying to fold you in half. I was like, yes, it's very simple. And he's like, yeah, dude, the bar's not swinging back. I'm like, right. Good point.
Yeah, that's so interesting to me because I'm, how old are you? 40?
No, I'm 33.
33. Jeez, 40. Like I thought you said earlier you're like, oh, I'm 40, but no, you as you get to be 40, that's what O'Keefe was saying. So like I'm 46, right, and I'm constantly trying to figure out ways where I'm like, okay, I don't need to like do this much weight. I don't need to do like, I just need to do this, and this. And it's like flexibility and endurance and all these things are like really fucking matter. Yeah. But dude, I battle tendonitis.
Yeah.
Like tendonitis like racks everything in my body. It feels
so
like.
one thing I just got introduced to is BFR. So blood flow restriction. So like I had my ACL done a couple months ago.
Yeah. That's what I was going to get into.
And one of the main piece of rehab is this fucking cuff that you put around your leg and it pumps full of air and cuts off the circulation.
Why?
Or so it doesn't cut off all circulation. At the pressures I was using to work out with, it allows blood to flow in but not out. Mm-hmm. So like when your legs when you just do like an assault bike sprint or something, you just feel your quads getting puffy.
Yeah.
You put these on and you feel that puffiness with like a 45-pound bar doing squats. And so like for rehab purposes, it's great because I'm able to get the same stimulus of lifting heavy weights,
right,
or as close to the same stimulus as lifting heavy weights without that external load on my body. So I'm able to train my knee to, get stronger without all of that extra weight on my back that I can't support yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, incredible for pain relief, incredible for tendonitis. Like there was a couple of rugby players that like crippling knee pain.
Yeah.
They'd wear the BFR for 10 minutes before a match and they could play the whole match pain free.
Huh.
But yeah, I've been playing with them for the last couple of months, especially after I'm done my rehab and just back to working out half normally now. Yeah, they're fucking brutal. Like I did 10 minutes on the C2 bike and this is one of my first workouts back. Mm-hmm. And I held 280 watts for 10 minutes. And then I put on the BFR and I held 88 watts for 10 minutes. Like, and I was trying as huge, drastic. Yeah. They'll fuck you up.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, that's super fucking good info. Cause man, I'm looking for any advantage. Like, obviously I'm looking for any advantage I can. And I'm thinking about from your perspective.
Yeah.
You've trained at such a high level. So now we can like downsize that
and
serve it up to like normal people. Like, how do you serve that shit up to normal people?
I mean, it's a lot more emphasis on the warm up and activations. Where it's like before, it's like I was training every day. I was never not activated, every muscle's firing all the time. And now it's like, all right, I look at a workout. I'm like, all right, what are the main body parts I'm using? All right, what's a nice slow warm up that I can do to just get those body parts activated? Mm-hmm. So something simple as like making sure my lats are firing correctly so that if I'm doing a lift, I'm not, overcompensating with my traps or something. Just using the right muscles, but yeah, warm up, cool down. That's a big one for me now is cool downs. It used to be I would finish my workout and then fuck off.
Yeah, like why do you even cool down? I don't even know why the fuck.
I don't know. My body feels better after.
Seriously?
I wish I knew the science behind it.
Well, but you do it, so you obviously just feel better because...
Yeah. I mean, it just like brings you down more gradually. Yeah. The big thing, one of the big things, and the reason I said like I'm lucky I got out without getting diabetes was I started using one of those glucose monitors.
Got one right now.
Yeah, hell yeah. Wore one of those for a couple months and then just like started seeing because during a workout, your blood sugar will spike.
Yeah.
And then after when you sit stagnant, you fucking crash.
Yeah.
And everything. I'm probably going to fuck this up. I'm going to get ridiculed for it, but
it doesn't matter.
What is it? Your glucose goes in and takes out, or no, insulin goes in and takes out the glucose. And if it doesn't have somewhere to burn it immediately, it gets stored as fat.
Right.
And so just something as simple as after a big meal or after a really intense workout, just go for a nice easy walk, get back on the bike, just keep your legs moving.
Right.
To bring it down so you don't have that crash after and get super tired.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so you're kind of like burning off the excess energy in a cool down as well, right? So you're not getting a huge track.
Yeah, I got one of those and I learned more about like my body and nutrition and how my body responded to certain foods. I learned more in 4 weeks of wearing that than I did through my whole career. I'm like, I fucking wish this existed 10 years ago.
Dude, I started wearing it like, I don't know, 6 months ago, I guess. And I'll like wear it for 2 or 3 weeks or a month or whatever. And then I'll like not wear it.
Put
and
it
I'll
down,
bring it back.
pick it back up.
Because there'll be something I want to learn, right? Where I'm like, okay, well, like the biggest thing was like alcohol.
Yeah.
I basically stopped drinking. Right?
Really?
Because because like, dude, I'll see, it doesn't matter. I saw how much it was affecting me. And then I also look at my sleep and my sleep patterns in the evenings after alcohol. So if I had like 2 beers and then I went to bed, I would have these like fucking weird spikes. And by the way, it would wake me up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm wondering why I'm tossing and turning. Well, it's the same thing happens with any like, you load in a ton of carbohydrates or sugar, depending on whether it's wine or beer or whatever it is, you'd have these really weird spikes and drops in my sleep. So, like last night, like kids were eating like popcorn or whatever and pizza. And I'm like, okay, cool. I know like I'm good for a couple slices, but I'm not going to just like take a giant trash can full of fucking popcorn and throw it in my fucking body, because I also know why my sleep is so fucked up. So I've learned so much about this as well. I fucking highly recommend it.
What company is yours?
It's the NutriSense, and then the other one that I had. So I was wearing 2 of them for a long time because I wanted to see if there's differences in the data, because I didn't believe it. It was like, you're pre-diabetic. And I was like, no, I just wasn't programming the information incorrectly. So I like programmed the wrong, or like meals, for instance, right? So you program the meals and then it obviously sees how it reacts and you get your feedback. So I used both, what is it? Dexton, and this one is NutriSense. So,
I used one. So I think it's the same CGM, but it's called Levels. So it basically it just gives you like the super friendly user interface, and it's like the end of the, like, take a picture of what you eat, your workout, whatever it is, puts it on the graph, and you can see where the spikes are, and then you can click on the icon and be like, all right, why did my blood sugar just go through the roof?
Right.
Oh, okay, that, I mean, now it is a common occurrence that after dinner we go for a walk.
Yeah.
Like after the biggest meal of the day, we got like an 800-meter driveway, and it's just like, we'll just walk to the end, walk back.
Right.
And it's like when I'm wearing that CGM, like blood sugar just stays level right across. And then like I would eat the exact same meal, sit down, watch an episode of Netflix, and it's like through the roof. I'm like, fuck.
Isn't it weird? Like I've learned more about this. Like, like to your point,
human body's fucking fascinating.
It's fucking fascinating. Like I've been trying to figure out ways where, because like what it did is it changed my entire pattern around eating too, right? So it's like changed a lot of the things that I thought were like very nutritional, or, I'd put some berries and some strawberries and put your shit on a salad or whatever. I don't do that anymore. Because I'm like, I don't want the sugar, or I'll preload like fat and protein before the sugar, which it absolutely stabilizes my blood sugar. 100%.
Isn't it fucking insane?
It's fucking crazy,
it's
because
so annoying, because I'm
it's just timing in the way that you're eating.
Fucking eat what I want to eat.
Yeah.
I work out. Why can't I just eat what I want to eat?
Yeah. I can't even imagine. Like that was what I was thinking, is like 10,000 calories is you're pulling in 10,000 calories, and you're also eating like Snickers bars and shit. Like your glucose must have been all over the fucking place.
It was a little bit after I retired. We had moved back to Vermont, and I was gone for the day, or most of the day, for something. And I came back in the evening, and our kitchen island is like 8 or 10 feet long.
Yeah.
And I came back, and there was like, 6, 7 plates of food, and like a bunch of like food in between the plates. And it's like, there's scrambled eggs on one end and fucking steak on the other, and chicken tenders. And I was like, Sammy, what are you doing? Like, are you cooking for people? Like, who are we entertaining tonight? And she was like, no, I'm making a YouTube video of everything you used to eat in a day. And then it like registered. I'm like, oh, that's my breakfast, second breakfast, first lunch, second lunch, first dinner, like, and all my snacks in between. And I had never seen it all like cooked, prepared, and presented at once. And I was just like, oh my God, that's disgusting. Like, I used to eat I'm like, that could feed me for a week now. Like, that's disgusting how much food that was. Yeah, it was rough.
So when you look at it today, when you're like, how much are you working out now? What's your workouts? What do they look like? And I know you're going through recovery, so not necessarily.
Yeah. So I mean, right now it's a little bit skewed. So what was it? In February, I tore my ACL,
how'd you do that?
LCL, and meniscus.
How'd you do that?
To say I was doing jiu-jitsu is a disservice to jiu-jitsu. I was in my third fucking lesson.
Okay.
So I had been signed up to a gym for months and just like schedule just did not. I got to the gym twice. Once I didn't realize was Thanksgiving, so I pulled up and the gym is closed.
Of course.
And then the next time I go, it was Christmas Eve. And I pulled in, gym was closed. I was like, fuck. So anyways, I contacted a buddy who I know is like incredible. And I was like, hey man, can we do like Sundays, a private lesson? Like my schedule just does not allow, it doesn't line up with the gym. And he was like, absolutely. So it was our third lesson, and 2 minutes into practice, we were warming up, and I went to toss him, shot my foot in between his, and we think it was a combination of my heel got stuck on his leg. So then when I rotated, I just like twisted my knee off, and then I think there was I think it contributed. Like when I went to throw him, he dropped his hips, so like he shot his hips back and down, and my leg was sideways in between his, so he like sat down on the outside of my knee,
right,
and just like pop, like three very clear and distinct tears. Went down and just like, so I went down. He thought I was still going, so he like,
oh shit,
jumped on me, called it off. And I remember like I stood up, moved both legs, did a couple air squats, and I was like, okay, like there's no pain. He's like, oh, thank God you're not hurt. And I was like, oh no, it's a skin tube. Like there's nothing connecting. I was like, everything's torn, but I feel fine. And I was like,
what the fuck?
I was like, I'm just gonna go to the hospital. And he was like, hang around for 10 minutes. Let's make sure you don't go into shock. And I went to a PT friend's house that night, and she's checking my knee, and she's like, I think you tore your ACL. And I'm like, oh, I fucking clearly, like, what else did I tear? So yeah, my workouts since then have been incredibly modified, but typically like if I'm in the gym now, 90 minutes, 2 hours max, like 2 hours with socializing.
Right.
But just conditioning, a little bit of weightlifting, just trying not to get fat.
Yeah, that's fair.
If anyone talks shit, I just want to be in good enough shape that I can hold my own.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. Because you've cut weight. Like, I mean, you don't look like you have as much mass as you did 2 years ago. Yeah,
I'm probably down like 20 pounds.
Okay.
Most of it is just in my legs at this point.
Got it.
I think at my peak when I was competing was up at 205.
Right.
I would try to compete high 190s, but I'm like mid 180s right now, like 185 or so.
Yeah.
But like I'm just getting back into squatting. So like I squatted body weight yesterday for the first time. It felt good. So hopefully I get some of that weight back, but who the fuck knows?
Yeah. Are you going to start doing like totally different sports now? Like, are you going to turn yourself into like an ultra runner or like a
the thing that I'm loving right now is that like I'm refining the love for the sport.
Right.
I love weightlifting. I love time in the gym. I love that feeling of pain of like, how far can I push? How much can I hurt and still recover from it? But for so long, the association wasn't, I want to do this. It was, I have to do this.
Right. And
so it doesn't matter how much you love it when you're putting that type of pressure and that association on it, it gets old after a while. So like when I first retired from CrossFit, like my workouts were just bodybuilding. I was like, I don't want to breathe heavy. I don't want to hurt. Like,
right.
I did that, and I did it so fucking good for a long time that I don't want to do it for a while. And then it wasn't until, so I'm still going in the gym, getting my workouts in, but it wasn't until I blew out my knee, and then I couldn't squat. I'm not allowed to squat. Right. I can't run. I can't row. I can't bike. All these things that I didn't think I wanted to do, but it was because it was still an option. And then as soon as that option was taken away and I had to sit on the couch for a while, I was like, fuck, my legs are shrinking. I don't like how my body's changing. And then you have a new appreciation for everything you did. So for me, it was almost a good reset of like, I had to step away. I had to become half of what I used to be so I can start rebuilding. But now it's like, I'm not even close to my old numbers. So there's no comparison going on.
Right.
It's not like, oh, when I was on the rower, I used to pull 130s and now I'm pulling a 132. It's like, no, I'm fucking sitting at 140, 145, having a good time. So now it's just training for health, fitness, and happiness, and not because I have to.
Right.
That was tough.
But yeah, plus you got, I mean, you're a new dad.
Yeah.
So it's like, now you have to like plug in and be present, be active with your kids.
I mean, the big thing with that too, and like the change that I went through, I'm sure it's the change that every father goes through with their first kid, so I think, my daughter was born on the 27th last month. So, I'm still brand new into it, but I think it was yesterday was the first day that, Sammy, Eddie, and I all went down to the gym together. Eddie's in her carrier. Sammy's doing the workout that she can do after giving birth, and I'm getting a workout in. And it was just, I was like, oh, this is very important. For me, I want this to be a family thing.
Yeah.
I want my daughter to grow up seeing her parents take care of themselves, work hard, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So now it's like, well, yeah, I still enjoy it. I still feel good. I know I'm going to feel better when I'm done the workout. But now that motivation to just get going is even a little bit stronger. Because now, beautiful thing is I don't have to work out.
Yeah.
Before it's like, no, my livelihood, my career, everything depended on it. Now it's like I want to work out, but I don't have to. So it's super easy that if I have work that I need to do that day or other things that need to get done, stuff for myself gets put on the back burner. I'm like, no, I'll just work out tomorrow. Well, now I'm like, oh, I want to be a good example for you. And it's like, yeah, I'm the one telling people, no, take 30 minutes every day, do your workout. Like it adds up. And so now I'm that person that I've been preaching to, and it's like, okay, good. I have another reason, like other than, winning or a good livelihood or supplying a life. It's like, no, I want to be a good example.
Do you guys have like a gym that you guys go to outside of your home gym? Do you guys have like a...
Yeah, so we just opened up our own facility. What was it? No, this April. Yeah. So
okay, where's it at?
A year ago. It's in Vermont. Yeah. So like 2 miles from my house. We got, I think it's 11,000 square feet, 6,500 is gym space, and then the rest is office space and conference room, podcast studio, all that stuff.
What do they call it? What do you call it? HWPO, or is it?
Yeah, just HWPO Training.
Yeah.
We always just call it HQ. But,
okay.
Like the gym that I have at my house is, for a home gym, it's pretty extravagant. So, it's just so nice for Sam and I. Like, we want family time. We can stay right there. It's kind of the same as you. If I go into the office, I know I'm going to end up working. I'm going to come in there, see a problem that needs to be addressed, and I'm going to do the things I need to do before I do the things that I want to do. It's just how I'm wired, and I know if I do that, then working out's not going to happen today.
Right.
So it's like we can just do that at the house, and then Sammy's not alone with Eddie. She can bring Eddie down to the gym with her now, and so it just feels special. It's like, oh, like this is my first time having a family of my own, and so a lot changed, and it's like, okay, I want to be a good example for this kid. I want to show her what hard work looks like. I want to show her what dedication looks like, consistency, all that shit.
Yeah. Which HWPO? What's the mission? What's the
mission is just to get as many people working out as possible.
Right.
So we have our own app that we launched. The last couple of years have been a blur. Launched
a couple years ago. Yeah.
Little over a year ago. It started in CrossFit. So, we have like what I think is the best CrossFit training program. Then we have the version that's chopped down for 60-minute version, the professional versions for people that are pursuing it as a career, body weight versions. We've got a golf track now.
What's that?
Work with Scott Stallings.
Who's that?
So he's on the
pro golfer.
Yeah. So he's on the PGA Tour. I think he's been on for. I'm sorry, Scott. I think he's been playing for 14 years on the tour, and I think he was kind of like, lack of a better term, coming up to the tail end of his career.
Yeah.
Like it was just the performance was dropping a bit, and then he went through this like body transformation where he lost a pile of weight and then got a second wind in his career. And, he started getting called, the fittest guy, the fittest golfer on tour, all this stuff, and loves CrossFit. And he just modified his CrossFit workouts for a lot more rotational work, to complement golfing.
Oh, that's cool.
And so we've been friends with him for years. And then, the opportunity presented itself. And O'Keefe, our CEO, just loves golf. He's looking for any excuse to work more in the golf world. So did that. We work with Amy and Nia Everett for Olympic weightlifting. We got a strongman, Rob Kearney.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're just trying to be whatever your interest is in fitness. We just want people working out, and we want to provide the most information to them. So like when I launched the programming, I was like, I know I can take a workout and you can take a workout. And if we take it how it's written on paper, we can both complete it, check the box like, hey, workout's done, and get 2 completely different results. Like if I'm doing a 40-minute EMOM and I'm trying to make my 15 calories last the whole minute or get the calories done in 30 seconds, it's 2 completely different workouts.
Right.
So when I knew that, all right, we're launching, a training platform, we're releasing workouts, I was like, I know the biggest difference, the biggest contributor is going to be the information provided. And so I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And so every day of training in there, I think I just recorded like day 800 or 900 or something. There's like a 10 to 15 minute video in there of me sitting in front of a camera going like, all right, guys, here's your day of training.
Right.
Here's things to think about here. Here's how I want you to approach this. Here's how to set up for this. Like just trying to over provide the information and I'm sure half the people never watch the videos because they're like, nope, I get it. I know what the workout is. And the other half that are beginners find it helpful.
Does it plug into technology, like wearable technology, like this Garmin or
So we're actually working on that right now. We actually just started talking to some companies. We've looked at it in the past. And then there was just like one little hiccup. And then I think we found a really reputable brand that is going to pair up well. So that's to come. But yeah, hopefully, we're talking to Garmin. So
that's cool.
I'm excited for that of like, if you can have it all integrated into one place, like, oh, that's fucking powerful.
Well, that's kind of like for me, the one thing I've been trying to figure out is like I want a centralized dashboard, right, for all this shit. Yeah. Like it's like I want it all like in one location, like a CEO dashboard for like my health, right? Where it's like, hey man, like here's my my glucose monitors, here's my workouts, here's my blood work, here's how it's changing. Like it's like, and then every day it's like you can get in there and be like, well, I'm gonna like change this or I'm gonna do this or whatever. And by the way, I'm sure it exists. I just haven't found it anywhere because I've like pitched this to like Aubrey Marcus and some of these other fucking dudes. I'm like, hey man, create a fucking health dashboard where it's like you plug in a doctor and a PT and a psychologist and all this shit and be like,
that's what we're trying to do.
Dude, like that's the like unlock.
Slowly but surely trying to get there. You know, it's just brick by brick.
Yeah.
And I mean like, there's 2 different sides of the business too. Like I'm sure you've dealt with it with like the tech side. Yeah. Like I don't know how to fucking program an app. And it's like, like, hey, we're launching an app. And I'm like, cool. How's that getting done?
Sounds awesome. Hey man.
Let me know when it's done.
Yeah. What do you do like recreationally when you think about it, like outside of blowing your knee out in jiu-jitsu, like what do you do? Like what are your hobbies?
Yeah, the knee was a consequence of that exploration of trying to find the next thing, because for years I'd had blinders up. Yeah, and the 10 years before I started CrossFit, I did the exact same thing with Olympic weightlifting. Right, like all through high school. I was competing at nationals. The day I graduated high school, I moved out to the Olympic Training Center. So, my list of hobbies was pretty fucking short. For a long time, it was just Mondays were my gun range day. That was it. That was my highlight of the week. But now, trying to explore more and more. Obviously motorcycle riding. I just bought a motorcycle a couple of weeks ago to do like a full engine rebuild on. So
what type?
So I just bought like an old 883, and I'm doing. I
don't know what that is.
It's a Harley 883. Okay. It's the cheapest fucking Harley. It's the entry level
like a
bike.
Sportster or something.
Yeah, Harley Sportster. And I literally just wanted to turn wrenches. I was like I don't know if I know how to rebuild an engine. But fuck it, who cares? I'll have fun failing if I do. So I'm doing a kit. So it takes it from an 883, takes it up to a 1275, and it like over doubles the horsepower. So that should be fun. I'm in pilot school right now.
Are you really?
Yeah. So just trying to find
that's cool.
different shit to study, you know, because if I'm not learning, if I'm not working towards something, I feel like a fucking loser.
Right.
Like if I just show up and do what I did yesterday, the exact same as I did it yesterday, and I don't feel like I'm progressing anywhere, man, I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
And so now it's just like, okay, I just want to make sure I have enough hobbies lined up that I'm never bored, and I always have something to work towards.
What do you want to fly when you think about the planes that attract you?
I'm so early into this.
I know you've been scrolling through planes though. You're like Super Cubs or something's got to be like.
No, I got my eye on was it the Circa SR22? So just a little 4-seater, single prop, but you know it's got a good range on it.
Yeah,
and you know this is years down the road, but you know just the idea of having that freedom. You know we live 4 minutes from the airport,
right? That's awesome.
And we actually had so I did the Discovery flight probably 2.5 years ago, and I was like, "Yep, this is it. I'm doing this." And then it was a week or two later, I started coaching an athlete, and so those plans and getting my pilot's license went right out the window.
Right.
And so I just started again, you know, a couple years later. But we had some friends come into town from Nashville, and they flew themselves. That was their first solo flight, husband and wife.
Cool. And
so we did the podcast, and then Sam and I took him back to the airport, and just like you walk through the lobby right out to the strip. They started their plane, they take off, and as we're leaving, Sammy was like, "Yo, that shit's nice."
My buddy John Casmus, he's coming out to go hunting with us.
Yep.
That's why you're out here, by the way, is to go elk hunting. And he flies a Pilatus PC-12 around.
Yeah.
And it's like a 8-seater. It's big,
you
know, but he can get up above the weather. He can fly, and he's been flying it like for, I don't know, a decade. He's getting his like helicopter pilot's license. And by the way, and it sounds like unattainium, right? It's like, oh my gosh, these guys are talking about flying. I'm like, dude, a lot of these planes are really inexpensive. There's like shares, like you can buy 1/8, you can buy in on one.
So when I went for my Discovery flight, you know, I'm asking the guy all these questions. You know, like in my mind, I'm like, if I'm getting my pilot's license, I'm getting a plane.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not going to do one, obviously.
Yeah.
And so I'm asking the guy, I'm like, you know, do you have a plane? You know, if you do, what one? I'm asking all the questions, and he was like, nah. I was like, why? Like, why would you not? You fly all the time. He was like, because that plane right there is $120 an hour to rent. He was like, I can't pay the storage fees for that cheap. So yeah, you can just rent them too. And I think the most expensive one there was like $180 an hour. But yeah, it was after the games this year. So Sammy was pregnant, and she was due like a couple days after the games. So we're like, dude, if this baby comes a week early, I'm going to be stuck in Madison. And so I had to actually rent a buddy's plane from Utah, and it was like a 14-seater. Like, that's just what he had. I didn't. I'm like, dude, I don't know any other friends with planes. Right. I'm like, dude, can I use yours?
Yeah.
And so it just sat on the tarmac for the 6 days of competition in case I got the call and had to go.
Got it.
And that was another thing after that. I'm like, I could just fly myself.
Right.
Like, yeah, it'll take some time. It'll take a lot of work. But like, it's no different than anything else I've done. Of like, you know, you hear like, yeah, I'm a pilot. And you're like, holy shit, that is so unobtainable.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think you and I both have done enough examples for ourselves over the years of like this wildly unobtainable task. And then like, no, just bit by bit, just keep working every day.
Well, chip away, right?
Yeah, chip away. Everyone, what is it? They overassume what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year.
I love that scene. Like it's like the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step, right? And it's like, you know, I started a pilot's license like, I don't know, 15 years ago. Yeah. But deployments and doing like, but I was flying around like a little Super Cub, and I bought like, it's just like anything. I'll tell you like a super funny story, and I'll come back to this pilot's license. So it's like my neighborhood and all the guys in my neighborhood, which by the way, there might be listening to this podcast. Like, so I brought my ping pong table home from the office just so we could play in my garage, and like, it's so much fun where I'm like, fuck, this is great. So then I pull my truck out of the garage. Now I've got a ping pong table in there and everybody's coming over to play ping pong. Well, then I'm like on Amazon buying these ping pong robots so you can mount it on the other side. And I'm like on YouTube looking at fucking how to serve this and do that. And I can't just do something. No. I can't just do the thing. Like it's a fucking problem.
No, you have to be the best.
It's a psychotic issue. It's I'm so frustrating to be myself sometimes.
I'm the same way. And so that's what I'm trying to work on now of like just having hobbies to be hobbies.
Yeah.
Like a perfect example was a couple weeks ago, O'Keefe and I got presented with the opportunity to bike the Tour de France.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
Like 21 days, 2,300 miles.
Right.
You're doing every leg as is. And I go to Sammy and I'm like, hey, this is a pretty wild opportunity, like once in a lifetime type thing. And her, like, she just like dead face. And I'm like, why are you not excited? This is a really cool opportunity. And her first thing out of her mouth is that she was like, are you training to win or are you training to do it?
Right.
And she was like, I know how you do everything. She was like, you don't fucking participate. And I was like, you're 100% right. I was like, I will try to participate. But that's how I am with my hobbies now. I'm like trying to keep it like, all right, the flight, like the online ground school. It's like, all right, I'll do an hour in the morning. And then when I'm done, the rest of the day, I'm like, dude, I want to get back in front of that laptop. I want to take more notes. I want to learn more. Like I'm doing, I want to do it more.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope, you did your hour. Go chill. Like review your notes tonight, but take it bit by bit. Same thing with the motorcycle. It's like, I don't even know if this thing will ever get put back together and run. Who the fuck knows?
Who cares?
I've never done it before. Yeah. So but I'm like, fuck it. I'm never going to know if I don't try. And it's like worst case scenario, I'm out a couple grand, and it's like, but even if, I had some good times tinkering on it in the garage, so, that's what I'm trying to retrain myself of like, not everything has to have that, like, I don't know, that final polish or like it's tough to explain. I'm like, I don't like doing things just for the sake of doing them.
No.
Like, what's the point of doing it if you're not going to do it to the best of your abilities? But at the same time, like, this isn't a priority. This is my entertainment. This isn't putting food on the table. This isn't, strengthening my relationship with Sammy. It's like, nope, this is my own entertainment, and that's it.
It's hard. Like one of the things I've had a hard time, and obviously, like as you get older, you might encounter too, is like it's really, really difficult to not be competitive at everything, because like I love competition. Like it's like one of the things, like I know people that are competitive and they absolutely fucking hate to lose. Like they fucking hate it, but it makes them miserable. Like they can't compete and have fun. Whereas like I compete and have fun. Now I hate to lose, but I would much rather be able to compete and lose than not be able to compete, because I love competition. Like it doesn't fucking matter what it is. It's like, oh, hey, let's turn this thing.
Yeah.
Like we were doing something a couple months ago. The guys we got a pickleball court in the back of the office. Mm-hmm. And it was like all the younger dudes in the company are out there, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking demolish them, right? It's like I'm going to stuff them like a Thanksgiving turkey on this. Like I will be in a wheelchair before I lose to these guys. You know what I mean? And
so how bad you lose?
Not bad, honestly, because I play a lot of ping pong, so it directly translates. But I can't. I'm not a pedestrian in like hobbies. I can't do them as just a pedestrian. I have to do them, and then I have to compete. Yeah. And if I compete and I compete with other people that are good, then I have a fucking problem. Like I went out and like I was shooting in my buddy's range. He's got this private range in like an hour and a half south of here, and again they're nationally ranked 3-gun guys. Mm-hmm. Like all these guys are like nationally ranked 3-gun guys. And it was like fucking grinding me into moon dust that they were beating me. Just like really, really,
it bugged you that some of the guys are the best in the world.
It really hurts.
Totally.
It really hurts.
I get it.
It sucks. And I'm like, so then I'm like, I'm at home and I'm like, all right, well, what do I need to do? Like increase my hand speed and like do all this.
Yeah, you're looking up like hand dexterity and like hand-eye coordination drills. You're getting the ball that has the lobes on the side. There you are at 47.
It's a problem.
You're like, dude, fucking pickleball. This is what matters.
Pickleball. It doesn't matter. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, okay, I've got to like do this way. And now, like, as I get, it's not as bad as it was.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you right now, as like my 30-year-old self is not the same as my 46-year-old self. It's just not, because at 30-year-old self, I would pretend like I wasn't competitive.
Yeah. Oh, no,
like
nonchalant.
like the old humble, like, no, I don't know, I've never done something like this before. You know, the old like, and then you dupe these fucking.
That was my favorite.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to be good and everyone know you're good. It's another feeling to be the best and nobody knows your fucking name. You just show up, eat their lunch, and leave. Like those were my favorite. Those were my favorite days. Like in the beginning when no one knew who the fuck I was.
Nobody knew,
and you just show up and like everyone else is in all the nice gear and all decked out. And you're just like, yeah, nice shorts, dude.
Source of pride where you have nothing and you're just like crushing their souls.
Yeah, but then the what is it? Expectations come in and you start putting the pressure on yourself, and it's like, fuck.
Does everybody know, like when you're just cruising around getting groceries and shit? Does everybody know who you are now, for the most part? Like it seems like CrossFit's so big. It just seems like.
Think so. I get a lot where like I think people know who I am just because like they saw one of the movies on Amazon or Netflix or wherever they were. No, I mean it's pretty chill now. I mean, one, like I dress completely differently. Right. Two, I have hair now. Yeah. So it's kind of actually surprising like how many people just don't recognize me because of the hair. Huh. Just because I had a shaved head for so many years. But I mean, when I'm at home though, I'm at home. Yeah. Like, I go from my house to the office and home.
Yeah. You know, how big's it? Where are you guys at?
We're in Vermont, so we're in Williston.
But how big is that?
Oh, not big.
No,
it's Vermont.
Yeah. How far away from Burlington are you?
10 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're right there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the 17 towns around Burlington would probably be one town in any other place.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's home for me. It's just
are your parents there too?
No, I moved back. They left.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah. So they like my mom retired during my last season. And then they moved. They have a lake house up in Ontario. And then they'll do 6 months in their RV. Right. Just bounce around the States. Just living the retired life.
Did they hit all your competitions and stuff? Did they watch everything?
Every single one. Yeah. It was
because they were Olympians. Is that right?
So they competed in the '76 Olympics in Innsbruck, Austria. They were pairs freestyle figure skaters for Canada.
Holy shit.
So they did that, and then when they turned pro. I think they turned pro, went on tour. I think they won the world championships 4 times.
Oh my God.
And then when that was all done, you know, they started having kids. Mom became a doctor, stay-at-home dad, and their life took a 180.
What kind of doctor?
She was a family physician.
Okay.
Yeah. So retired now. Yeah. Living their lives, but you know.
How many siblings you got? Or how many?
I have one older brother.
What's he do?
He's a tattoo artist in Louisville. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, did he catch the competition bug? Was he like a freak competitive guy too? Or
no. We could not have been more different growing up. Oh. You know, I was into sports. He was into art and music. Right. You know, I'd probably get classified more as a jock. He was, you know, in the drama crew. You know, I loved booze and he was straight edge. Huh. We just had nothing in common. Wow. And it actually wasn't until recently that we actually like started hanging out and like realized, oh shit, we have a lot in common. Right. But like just as kids, totally different interests. So it was really cool this year at the games. We brought him out, put him in the HWPO booth, and he was doing tattoos. Oh, that's super cool. Yeah, do you have a tattoo from him? Yeah. So the one on this arm and then my left leg is done by him. But he was in the booth. Once again, fucking bananas. We did a raffle where it's if you got, I think we had 5 tattoos or 6 tattoos you could pick from, and if you got it, you got a lifetime membership to the app, and then you got entered into a drawing for like a home gym, and it's like a $15,000, like it's sick prize. I was like, dude, we're gonna have like a dozen people show up, dude, line out the door, Jesse ended up doing 140 tattoos. Holy shit. He had people standing outside the booth for hours just waiting like for a no-show so they could get a tattoo. It's fucking insane.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, this thing grew into something kind of wild. But once again, it was kind of cool. Like I got to collide work worlds with my brother.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was really cool. Like when I was competing, he came out to the games a couple times. After his first time out in California, he told me after he was like, I'm the fattest person here. He was like, I think he was like 220 or 240, like not big.
Yeah.
But he was like, I'm the fattest guy in the stadium. And then he went home and lost 60 pounds.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
You know, we're wired very the same.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as he's like, nope, I made the decision. I want to lose 60 pounds and just started CrossFit. And
he started doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, he started doing it. And like, I've gotten him equipment for his gym now. Like he has 2 daughters. So like getting to the gym isn't as easy. So he's got a squat rack and rower at home and yeah, he's getting it in.
Yeah. So are you guys like similar height?
Yeah, he's a little bit taller.
Little bit?
Yeah, a little bit like definitely bone structure and like our statures are the same. I've just been working out for.
So I wonder if like when he shows up at the CrossFit gym, do they just expect him to just crush their souls or something because he's your brother?
Oh, they had no idea.
No,
that he was my brother. I think it was like one of the people. It was like after I won the games one year or something. I posted a picture with like my family.
Yeah.
And like they went and like, why are you on the games floor with Matt? And he's like, that's my brother. Like, Fraser. And they were like, holy shit. They were just like, dude, I never knew your last name.
Dude, it's so funny. My wife started doing CrossFit recently. Yeah. Like she's never done it before. Yeah. And I started
she was a distance runner too.
Yeah,
right?
She was an ultra runner for years. And I mean, it still runs quite a bit. But it's like I started doing CrossFit in like 2005 or something. Yeah. At CrossFit North in Seattle. Like I think it was gym number 2, maybe something like that.
Yeah, if it's either north, south, east, or west.
Yeah, CrossFit North.
Yep.
And so like CrossFit's been part of my life for forever. Yeah. Like I got level 1 cert back in like 2008 or something. I forget exactly. And but I did like, you know, kettlebell running. I did all the fucking certs. I didn't do level 2, but it's just been it's been there, like kind of like running and like software in the background for so long. But I was talking to my buddy. He owns Salt Lake City CrossFit. It was started by another guy that I worked with, V Diamond, and this other guy, Justin. I ran into him at HEB or not HEB, the Harmon's the other day, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you know," and I nonchalantly. I'm like, oh, well, you know, Matt, my buddy's coming into town to go hunting. And then I was like, oh, but you probably know him, Mat Fraser. He's like, oh, yeah, I fucking know him. And I always forget. It's like, and I'm not fucking name dropping. I'm just like, I'm fucking Matt. He's coming in for a help con. You know, I mean, it's just normal shit. And my wife was like, who, you know, today she's like, well, who are you podcasting? And I was like, oh, yeah, you probably know because you're doing CrossFit now. You know, it's like Mat Fraser. And she's like, oh, he's going to be in town. And it's like, yeah, you fucking retard. Yeah, he's going to be in town. Like, but it's like, now it's like, because we've known each other too for so long, I take for granted that like everybody knows who you are, even outside of CrossFit.
It's the same thing though. Like, it's the same thing like when I'm, like before I'm coming out here and people are like, oh, what are you going to Utah? Well, I'm going out for an elk hunt. They're like, oh, shit. That's cool. Who are you doing it with? And then I'm just like, oh, you know, a couple buddies from Black Rifle. And they're like, Evan Hafer and Matt Best. I'm like, yeah, they're the two of the people that will be there, you know? And, you know, it's just funny how some people view, and like, I have it too, of like, you meet somebody and like, if they're excited, they've been a fan for a long time. And it's just like, hey, like, just a dude, just like you. Like, I just happen to be really good at picking things up and putting them down fast. Like, I'm
just really good.
Yeah, I probably have 99% of the same problems as you. I'm just really good at lifting things up.
What was that fucking dude? I forget his name, but when he was Eastbound and Down, and he was like, it's like the single greatest line. Like, I'm not trying to be the best at exercise or something. Yeah. And I'm
not trying to be the best at exercise.
It's like, it's so fucking funny because it's like every dude in, you know, I mean, like every dude in CrossFit is like, they're really, I mean, I shouldn't say every dude. They're so fucking competitive around this one certain thing. You're like, but outside of this, dude, there's a whole world of like really cool shit, which is like one of the things I think the first time I met you, understanding like, oh no, this is going to be a chapter of your life that's going to be very important, but it's not going to be your life, right? It's like your life.
100%. I like my parents were always one of the best example or the best example for me of, you know, work-life balance, you know, the different chapters of life. Like I said, like both my parents are Olympians.
Yeah. Which is wild.
Walking into our house growing up, you would never know they were figure skaters. You know, it
really?
was like there were no, there may have been like a picture or two like tucked in a corner or something, but
right.
Like, you know, I remember like when I was super young, like we had an unfinished basement. I'm just going through like, you're looking for treasure as a little kid. And I fucking found it. Like I found these like big 3-4 foot tall, big gold medal trophies, and there's a whole fucking stack of them. I'm like 6 years old. I'm like, dude, I actually found treasure. Holy shit. And I run upstairs. I'm like, Dad, look what I found. And he's like, oh, you found those old trophies, you know? Like, oh, where'd you find that? And that just set the example for me that I'm like, you guys went to the Olympics.
That's so fucking crazy.
You went to the Olympics, and it's not the most important part of your life.
Yeah.
Like the gold medals that you won aren't even displayed. And to me, that just showed like, yeah, like I grew up hearing the stories. They had the time of their lives. They made friends. They had experiences that they'll never get again. But once they moved on, that wasn't the most significant part of their life. You know, my mom wanted their careers. She wanted kids, all this stuff. So me growing up, I was like, I'm going to take the sports for whatever it is. You know, I'm going to try to do it to the extent that I can. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going to do the best I can. But when I'm done, I'm done. And so it's like the common thing is like, I think every other CrossFitter that's retired has come back. Like they sit on the couch for 2 weeks. They're bored. They have nothing to do, and they come back for whatever reason, you know, up to them. For me, I was like, fuck that. Like when I'm done, I'm done. I want to move on to something else, and I want to have something else so that I'm not longing the fulfillment that I had from CrossFit. So it's like, yeah, I'm going to get busy. I'm going to get to work just on something else. But yeah, I just knew I'm like, yeah, when I'm 50, I'm not going to be trying to, you know, still compete or like do that or chasing PRs. I'm like, no, I'll still work out for health, fun, fitness, all the reasons you should. But no, I hope once I leave this thing, which up to the point has been the most significant part of my life. It's been probably the best thing I've done, but I hope in 10 years, it's not. I hope in 10 years I have something new, better, something I'm excited for, whatever it is.
Something I'm like, I think a lot of vets, especially like guys from, and I'll just say vets in general, and then like the special operations vets specifically around like the guys from like my old unit, you know, it's like, I was a Green Beret. That's cool. It's not the only thing I'm ever going to do in my life.
Yeah.
Like, and by the way, when I left, I left. Like, I wasn't like, I didn't leave with any hostility. I didn't leave with any like negative feelings.
Yeah. I
was like, that's cool, but it's not going to be the single most defining thing in my life for the rest of my life. My kids don't know.
Yeah.
Like 6 and 9. Like I don't sit around and talk to them about like, oh, well, I was a Green Beret kid.
Like, I did that. Yeah.
No, like they know me as like the guy that
they know
comes
you as
home
dad.
and yeah, I'm dad. Like but that's the whole thing. Like I closed that chapter and moved on to, you know, coffee, right? So that I'm in here and then I'm also, you know, raising kids and started a family and like I'm trying to move on, not in the context of like I'm moving on as if it's some kind of tragic event. It's like, no, man, that's behind me. Like what my dad said is like, I love this saying actually. It's like your rear view mirror is like 3x5. Your front windshield is like this fucking big. So he's like, concentrate on what's ahead of you and not what's behind you, right? You're looking at it for clarity and context.
Yep.
You're not
look
looking
at it, take a glance at it, but don't stare at it.
Like don't stare at it.
I never want yesterday to be the best day of my life.
No.
You know, it's like, yeah, that shit I did, that was great. And I'm psyched I did it. And no one can ever take that away from me that I won those golds. But for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm still in the space in a very different capacity. You know, like, I'm like, okay, I learned a lot over the years and I played my cards very close to my chest because I didn't want to help my competitors.
No.
Well, now I'm not competing. So I'm like, okay, if I can help the next generation not make a lot of the same mistakes I made, fantastic. Get people working out, great. But my days of competing, no, I did what I wanted to do. Now it's like, I want to feel fulfillment somewhere else. Right. So I was actually with a couple guys, like 3 days ago, whatever the fuck it was. But yeah, special force guys. And some of them were asking me like, yo, like, how was the transition into retirement? Like, you know, I'm looking at it, and the only advice I could give was like, stay busy. Like, before you have free time, start lining things up. Like, because I know for me, it's like, if my project ends and then I have that limbo time in between where you're just kind of in purgatory waiting for the next thing, that's where my mind goes squirrely. And so it's like, as I'm coming up on the tail end of something, so like my whole last year in CrossFit, I was like lining up all these projects, lining up, all right, the day I'm done, what am I doing?
Right.
Because I know if I'm not pursuing something, I'm like, what am I doing in my life? I'm just wasting. I'm just like sitting on a couch and watching TV middle of the day. Like, oh, what a terrible feeling.
Oh my God. It feels like I skipped school. Like anytime I'm like, I took a day off like a couple, maybe it's like a week ago, and I just hung out with my wife.
Yeah.
Well, we never do that, by the way. It's like, we never just like take a day where we just hang out.
Yeah.
Kids are at school, just hang out. I haven't done that, dude, I don't know, years. Maybe, like, I don't know if I've ever done it, actually, unless I'm sick or I have an injury.
So
right?
Sam and I did this for the first time like 2 months ago.
It was actually really fun. I was like, yeah, this is cool.
Dude, I had a Saturday, Sunday off. And Sam and I like just did day-to-day shit. Like went to the beach, went to the grocery store, like simple shit. Dude, at the end of that 2 days, I was like, did we go on vacation?
Yeah.
I haven't worked in forever. And Sammy's like, this is a weekend. And I'm like, for the last 10 years, I've never taken a weekend. Like, I train Saturday, Sunday. Now that I'm coaching, athletes train Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
So it's like, that's when I'm in. Monday comes around, and it's like, nobody gives a fuck that Monday's my day off. It's like, so, you know, I'm still getting the text calls, emails, all that stuff, conference calls. And like that I am trying to be better about or like, especially like 6 p.m. hits, turn off the phone, turn off.
I do that. I've been religious about that for years.
Yeah.
Like, I turn everything off, and I turn everything off because like my kids have to be able, like, my phone goes on like, it goes face down on the table. Everything's silent, everything's off, because like, you only get one turn at being a dad. And if I'm fucking plugged into my phone, like, by the way, this business will like suck every fucking ounce of energy you've ever had. It'll literally cost you 48 hours a day if it lets you. So it's like, no, I just turn it all off, man. Like, I don't really care. And if I have to, then I will, but it's like, not really. If people really need to get a hold of me, they can call my wife and she'll be like, hey, he's busy or whatever. But
like when I was competing, like, you know, the amount of people calling, texting, it's like not what it is now, because my work was solo. And then it was after I retired from competing, launched HWPO. And then I remember, like, for a long time, I was like, dude, this is sick. From 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. I can be on my laptop. My heart rate never went up to 200. I'm not gasping for air. I'm not on my third set of clothes for the day. I'm like, dude, I can work all day. Like, and then after like a year, it was like, oh shit, I haven't taken a day. Like, I haven't lifted my head up. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be retired. I'm supposed to, like, this is why I retired, so I can start doing fun shit. And then I just got sucked into the next thing. And so, trying to actually take time and be a partner. Novel idea, right?
Let's go elk hunting, man. Thanks for stopping in. Mat Fraser, everybody. Check out HWPO. We'll edit that out. No, we won't. HWPO. We'll put links in the podcast. Go check it out. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.